All right, so today we're diving into a really provocative text called The Domestic Blueprint. It makes a pretty controversial case about marriage, careers, and family roles in the modern world. We're going to break down its core arguments, look at the problems it identifies, and the solutions it proposes, all based on what's in the source material. So, let's get right into it.
So, right off the bat, the source throws this question at us, and really, its entire argument hangs on this one idea. It's not saying that marriage as an institution has failed. No, it's arguing that the way we've rewritten the rules has come with some serious, unforeseen costs. This question really sets the stage for everything else.
Okay, so first things first. To really get what the author is arguing, we have to look at their vision of what marriage was originally for. They frame it less as a big romance and more as a very practical, very necessary social contract. According to this text, for most of human history, marriage was basically the main organizing principle for society. It was a functional deal with a super clear purpose: survival. The roles people had within it weren't random. They were all based on the essential jobs that needed to get done to keep the family and the whole community alive and going.
And you could really see that idea laid out clearly here. The source presents this division of labor as being simple, sacred, and honestly sustainable. In this view, you had one partner focused on everything external, providing, protecting, while the other handled the internal world of the family, care, education, all of it.
All right, so that's the before picture. Now we get to what the author sees as this massive turning point, where that original blueprint didn't just get a little update. It was fundamentally rewritten because of some huge historical events.
This timeline really tells the story from the source's perspective. It starts with those basic survival roles. Then it points to the world wars as this critical moment where women had to step into the workforce. But here's the crucial part. According to the author, what started as a temporary necessity became a permanent cultural expectation. And this is the pivot. The source argues that what began as a patriotic duty was totally transformed into a new societal ideal. The message wasn't help out for a while anymore. It became go compete, climb to the very top, and that, it claims, changed everything for the family structure.
So, what's the big deal? What problem did this shift actually create? Well, the source has a name for it: the chaos. It's described as this modern conflict that was born from tearing up that original blueprint.
And who's to blame for this chaos? Well, the author points the finger right at parents. The argument is that, with the best intentions, parents are now raising their daughters to value professional success over what the text calls their divine design, that is, their innate purpose to nurture. This swap, it claims, is the real root of the problem.
So this cultural shift, according to the author, creates this deep, fundamental contradiction. It sets up what the source calls an unsustainable double standard, and it's pulling modern women in two completely opposite directions at the same time.
Okay, so first, the text makes this very bold claim. It says that deep down, women still want a partner who fills those traditional roles: the provider, the protector, the leader.
And here's the metaphor that really illustrates the conflict. The author argues that wanting a traditional provider while also wanting to be a competitor in the professional world creates an impossible situation. You just can't have both, it suggests. You can't have the steak and keep the cow alive.
And the source is really clear here. This isn't just some abstract idea. It claims there are real, tangible consequences. You've got men feeling like their core purpose is being undermined, women starting to see domestic roles as second class, and as a result, kids are kind of left to raise themselves.
So after painting this pretty bleak picture, the source then offers up what it calls a win-win solution. It's designed to let women feel empowered, but without, in its view, breaking the family unit apart.
And the key here, it's all about a change in perspective. The source isn't saying, women, quit your jobs. Not at all. It's suggesting they make strategic career choices, choosing jobs that are actually compatible with family life, instead of just trying to climb the same old corporate ladder. And they get super specific about it. The text lists careers it considers family-friendly. And you can see a pattern here, right? A lot of these are about flexibility, nurturing, creativity, or community-based work, things the author argues are a better fit for what they call a woman's God-given design. Okay, so at this point, you're probably thinking, isn't this just, outdated, a bit oppressive? And the source anticipates that. It tackles that criticism head-on by trying to redefine what these traditional roles are even supposed to mean today. And the way it defends this idea is by asking some really simple, down-to-earth questions. The argument is that, look, you can call it whatever you want, but at the end of the day, the essential work of caregiving, what the source calls human work, it still has to get done by someone.
By listing these things one by one, reading stories, calming tantrums, keeping track of appointments, the source is making a point. This stuff isn't trivial. It's foundational work for a healthy family, and it claims this work requires a dedicated focus that gets lost when both parents are putting their careers first.
And this all leads to the core idea the author wants to get across: complementarity. The source frames these roles not as a hierarchy, not about who's in control, but as a system of organization. Like a symphony needs both violins and drums, or a house needs both a roof and a foundation. Two different parts, both absolutely essential to make the whole thing work.
And to wrap it all up, the author really raises the stakes. The central claim here is that abandoning these complementary roles doesn't just make individual families unhappy. It says the consequences ripple outward, leading to a society with fractured communities and a culture that's losing its way.
And that leaves us right here, with the central question posed by this whole text. Is this idea of complementary roles, the way the domestic blueprint defines it, a workable plan for social harmony? Or is it just a relic, an attempt to go back to a past that doesn't really exist anymore? The source has made its case, and that's the debate that continues to shape our culture today.